within Motion Builder. We have two dilemmas. For one, which is more noticeable, is the flipping in the animation. So that's going to need to be cleaned up. Another thing we're going to want to optimize is the amount of keyframes we have in the animation. As of right now, we have keys in between frames. We really don't need those keys. It's a good idea to clean them up to make our scene file smaller. And at the same time, it helps us to avoid issues of little pops here and there that are noticeable when we play back the animation but are invisible as we scrub. So if you ever run into a situation like that, chances are you just want to go ahead and optimize your keyframes to get rid of those type of snaps. So we really don't need all of this data. Let's go ahead and just keep what we really need. So what we'll do first is get rid of all of the flipping. Let's go ahead and select our root. I'll just hit the up arrow until we grab that bone. Now the next step is to head over to our graph editor. Okay, so backing up, let's go ahead and take a look at our keys so you can see exactly why we're getting flipping. A few of our values are very extreme. So one thing we could always do is go to one of the frames where the character is flipping out, let's say 53, go ahead and find the keyframe and start to modify it. So of course this would be a rotational key that would need to be adjusted. You go to the rotate Z, find the keyframe, and then start to tweak it. However, we're going to be here all day if that's our solution. So instead, what we can do is work with the Euler filter. So what I'll do is go ahead and grab the top root. That way we have all of our F-curves selected. And watch this. If we were to head over to curves and choose Euler filter, our rotational data has now been cleaned. So all of the flipping that we were getting earlier on no longer exists. We'll want to test this, of course, by playing back the animation. Notice how much smoother that is. Have to love that tool because without it, we would be working tediously to clean up this animation. Okay, so everything looks good, right? Well, we still want to double check and make sure every frame looks good. If we were to scrub through, let's go ahead and just scrub through slowly. All right, that looks good. Nice jump. Okay, nice spin. Okay, so everything looks great, right? However, looking back at the animation, there is also another pose that will need to be cleaned up. So I'll go ahead and scrub through and find it. That's what we really want to examine the animation and make sure that everything is just fine. And there it is. See, that was very easy to miss. So on frame 203, we could see that the right knee has flipped. This is not good at all. That's exactly, again, why we just want to take our time and not rush through any of our work. Thankfully, we can use the Euler filter on this as well. I'll just bring back the graph editor. Again, selecting the bone itself in the graph editor so we can grab all of our keyframes. We'll head over to curves and choose Euler filter. And now that has been cleaned up. Okay, great. Well, our first task is done. There's no more flipping in the animation. The next step is to optimize the data. So to do so, we can work with bake simulation to get rid of those in-between keys that were in between our frames. Let's go ahead and grab our root again. And again, we'll use our select-high command. It should still be in our script editor, so let's go ahead and run it. Now, our end joints, they're not really affecting any part of the animation, so feel free to deselect them. I'll just go through and control-click to start deselecting all of those end joints that don't have any keyframes. So it should just be a few more at the feet. Okay, so with these deselected, let's go to Edit, Keys, Bake Simulation Options. And I'll reset the settings. Let's go ahead and work with our start to end range, because what we want to do is clean up the keys so that we have a range of 0 to 250. Now if we were to use our time slider range, yes, everything will be baked from 0 to 250, but we still would have some excess keys to clean up after 250. So what I like to do is just set the end range to 251 and then simply delete that key after we have baked the simulation out. But everything else should be fine as far as our settings go. Alright, so it's just a matter of now choosing bake. Give my a second, and now notice all of those in between keyframes have been cleaned up. You can take it a step further and start to clean up your F-curves even more, but it's really not too necessary at all. What I will do is get rid of that key on 251. So we'll simply move our end time to that frame and go into 251. We'll right click and delete. Alright, so now we can bring our range back to frame 250. So in this lesson, we learned how to fix flipping issues in our motion capture data. We also learned how to optimize our animation some more to get rid of keys that really don't do anything except make our scene files larger.